All right, what's up, everybody? I'm your little dancing monkey that you pay super chats to do whatever dancing monkeys do. Those little. Is that a Jack in the Box? Is that I don't even know. Is that what a monkey does? Jack in the Box. Junk in the box. So yeah, we're gonna be doing a new installment in the Elite book series. It's been a little while since we added anything to that series, and took me a while to find the next. Actually, I had a few books lined up to be the next part of that series. I never got to Alvin Toffler's book. And I never got to Klaus. So those will probably be in there as well in the next few. But as you know, guys, most of the time, right? So Thursday I'll be hosting You Know Who's show, Lord Voldemort himself, the 4th hour. And we'll be covering other elements of what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to talk about L0ckstep. I'm trying to think of the requisite code words. Operation Schlongstep. How's that? Because this was overlooked to a degree. It's one of the key documents that are war games or white papers. And I'm sure that most of this high giga IQ audience knows what white papers are. However, there were some people on Instagram. What's a white paper? What's a war game? Why does this document say 2018 events? Why does this do that? Right? Bro. Better get it together. You better raise your IQ. You better take some nootropics and raise that IQ. Because only high IQ people go to heaven. You gotta have like a 250 IQ at least to be a bouncer at the door of heaven. Chris Langan himself, a bouncer, might get into heaven. Chris Langan is like the real what's Patrick Swayze's character in? I just went blank. My mind's not working today. It's not very good since we're going to be doing analyses. What am I thinking of? Welcome to KGB class. The camera is stuttering. Oh, that's because I'm vibing, baby. Right? I'm debunking. Dalton in Roadhouse is like Chris Langan in reality. Chris Langan really has, reputed to be highest IQ. We're trying to set up an interview. It takes a long time to set up an interview with him, but we're going to be talking about his theistic argument, CTMU, in the near future at some point. And then I'm trying to get Wrecking Ball. If you don't know, he is one of the world's foremost rollerbladers. He's a rollerblading champion, along with James Caan and the Suicide Girls. Actually, Wrecking Ball together with James Caan actually formed the original crew of the Suicide Girls, who would then go on to be tattoo rollerblading models across the world that you now know of. And so, double audio? Is that... Am I being trolled? I can't tell. Is audio messed up or is this... Are people trolling me? Is that dude trolling? I did trolling. I do trolling. Yeah, Chris Langan is an interesting man for sure. I'm not sure I'm convinced of his argument. But it is an a priori, mathematical style argument. 2 mics at once. Are we making sure let's see, audio capture. Maybe I got 2 audio captures going at once. Is that better? Can you hear me now? Is it fixed? Is it better? Can you hear me now? Good audio. Echoing. Yeah, I think I've got 2 turned on. I turned 1 off. Is that better? Pony echo. Yeah, it's because there's 2. I think 2 sources. Small echo. Is it better? It's nothing. A little bit. Far better. Okay, yeah. So I had 2 sources. It's still pulling from the old. My Yeti quit, dude. It went to the Sasquatch graveyard. My Yeti microphone just quit. I was like, dude, I'm out of here. He got tired of all the hot air I was spitting into his face. My Yeti microphone. You know what? I bet that's why we were having problems last time. Was that it was still pulling that other source of the old microphone. That's why. So there was 2 audio sources in there. Anyway, yeah, baby, what's up? We're talking about Great Reset. We're going to talk about Klaus. We're going to talk about L0ckstep, Operation Schmuckstep. We're going to talk about Operation Schmuckstep with Woody Allen. You might or might not also seen, which I did cover this on Lord Voldemort's show a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago. There's an article I would recommend at the World Economic Forum website. And, they kind of tell you what's going on. So I would say go read this enlightening article. And I'm not telling you medical advice. I'm just telling you to read this article because I'm saying go listen to what Klaus and his Totenkopf officers tell you. It's like, we will tell you what we will do and you will like it. You will like what we tell you. You will eat the sewage, the garbage juice smoothies. Now, I've been talking about garbage juice smoothies for a long time. That's an old pseudo joke that I've made. And what do you know? Now Klaus is talking about with Gill Bates eating sewage. They got that idea from me, dude. So will be the garbage juice smoothie. You will like it. Will come with the extra special sauce. The special sauce. Welcome, everybody. Thank you. This is Operation L0ckstep. We're about to get into it. Just a little house cleaning, though. Thank you. We got a nice little crowd here in the middle of a Monday. So I'm glad everybody's here. And one thing that I noticed, I think I tweeted about it or somewhere. I forget where. I was somewhere and I mentioned this and everybody was like, oh, bro, dude, you got it, dude. That's what it is. Because as I was reading through L0ckstep, I noticed something no one has talked about. Almost no one. There's a key component in Operation L0ckstep where it actually says when under L0ckstep everyone gets sick of their corrupt leaders, they will cry out for the solution. They will cry out for the savior. Then we will swoop in. Then we will swoop in, swoopen, puppen, swoopen. That's what Klaus is saying. We will swoop in as the saviors. I'm not joking. It actually says when the nations become totally disillusioned with their political leaders, they will say, aha, our systems are broken. Our systems have broken down. They are unsustainable. They are unfeasible systems. Therefore, we need the technocratic expert. We need the experts. They will clamor for the technocratic expert. It's actually in there. That one blew me away, and nobody talks about that. That part of this plan, the phases, the business phases, Great Reset ultimately here, is to kind of let there be controlled chaos. Now, we've talked about controlled chaos because that's an older philosophy. Now, obviously, it goes all the way back to the ancient world, but in terms of modern geopolitics, controlled chaos is something that was very important, not just to the British Empire, but to modern-day American geopolitical strategists like Zbigniew Brzezinski. We've covered all of Brzezinski's works, well, almost all of them. And we know that the arc of crisis model that Brzezinski utilized throughout the former Soviet bloc countries was crucial to the reorganization and economic reintegration of those places into the neoliberal order. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm saying the KGB and the Soviet system was what we should go for. Don't think in dialectics here. So we avoid dialectics. We don't want to get into the either ors. We're trying to look at things in a factual objective, at least shooting for a factual objective analysis of these Cold War ideas, because the origins of what we're seeing today, Afghanistan, Cold War stuff. Yes, it goes back to the great game, the original great game. I know that. But for the modern world, where we are now, we're looking at, excuse me, reorganization that took place post-Cold War. And as we said, one of those strategies was controlled chaos. And the arc of crisis model that Brzezinski was so proficient at, that was so successful, is just one test case example of how you can utilize crises on a bigger scale. And in fact, that's what this book is about, right? The book is about this being an opportunity for global economic reintegration. Now, we have to be careful because also Great Reset is not merely a plan to change the economy of the world. It's a bunch of commies. It's a bunch of socialists. It's a bunch of commie socialists. Oh, you mean like the Fortune 100? The Fortune 500? Those commie KGB socialists? So remember, the plan is not communism, it's not socialism, it's not capitalism, it's not any of those systems. It's the worst elements of all of those systems combined into the what used to be called the third way. The merging of the neoliberal economic degeneracy-based model with the technocratic top-down control structure model of, I guess you could say, what comes out of British Empire and Eurasia. In fact, I was just coming to the end of Babylon Berlin last night, season 3, which, if you don't know, this is a popular Netflix, high production value Netflix show. Tom Tykwer, right, that did Run Lola Run. Tom Tykwer. Babylon Berlin is set in Weimar Republika der Weimar. And in the Weimar Republic, it's taking place in 1929, 1930, right before, stock market crash and then World War II. It's fascinating because we have the interplay of all of these different groups, these different sects and these different power struggles. You've got the stock market speculators. You've got the big corporate people that want the war, right? You've got the intention of the corporate and banking elite to destroy the economy, to reorganize society. So I'm bringing that up because what we're seeing right now is literally what's in season 3 of Babylon Berlin. I'm not recommending necessarily that you have to go watch it. I mean, it does portray Weimar Republic degeneracy. So, yeah, I'll let you decide if you want to watch the show. I mean, it doesn't have a whole lot of explicit stuff. There's a little bit of it here and there hinted at. It's it's not like a Game of Thrones or whatever degree, but each season does have a couple pretty degeneracy laden sequences. But regardless, you've got the power struggle between the economic power elite. You've got monarchists, you've got Trotskyites, you've got Stalinists going after Trotskyites, you've got the Train of Gold, you've got Satanists. There's a satanic cult in this. You've got actors. You've got German expressionists who are making what look to be Metropolis-style films, and they're part of a satanic cult. You've got organized crime. You've got the gangsters. And then you've got, sort of the Republicans, the existing Democratic Republican establishment at the time in the Republic. And so it's a pretty, it's a well-made, insightful neo-noir detective drama leading up to World War II. So they've only done 3 seasons. But again, the only relevance to what we're talking about now was that in season 3, the banking and corporate elite, Herr Nissen, right? Herr Nissen meets with the banking elite and says, we can restructure this whole society on a new great plan, a great reset, if we intentionally aid in the crash of the market. And then when it crashes, he says, we will buy everything up because when we know the crash is coming, and then we'll own everything. We'll be like, billionaire in 1930s money. And then he says, then we'll have enough wealth, we can just restructure the whole society. So that's what we have now, right? It's very comparable to Weimar Republic. We could see economic collapse. In fact, that's precisely the kinds of things that we're seeing called for. You see me talking about, again, nobody knows exactly how far, Great Reset will go. We don't know if this means a total economic reset to like 1800s, where your mom's going to be a lady of the evening at the Spittoon, the Spittoon Saloon. Your mom might be over there at the Spittoon Saloon wearing one of them big puffy dresses, hanging out at the top of the saloon. Every 1800s bar has a ladies of the evening attachment up top, if you didn't know that. So we might be transitioning over to the saloon ladies of the evening economy if we go into that 1800s Great Reset, right? If we go into that Oregon Trail level reset. Now everybody's going to know why we were all playing Oregon Trail in first and second grade. You know why? It's because you're going to have to prepare for it, dude. You're going to have to prepare for, you're going to be in the Donner Party. We'll be eating each other. No, I'm just joking. I don't think it's likely to have a 1800s Great Reset. Everybody's going to be living in some reconstructed Mormon America. You're going to be dating girls with Pentecostal buns, Mormon buns on their hair. Mennonite girls with buns and braids. I don't think we're going back to that. That's the least likely. It is possible. Anything could happen. We might be reduced to that. Cyber Polygon is part of, different game plans, different Illuminati card deck plans. But when it comes to L0ckstep, you have to remember that this is a list of multiple scenarios. So it's kind of like what happens in the business world. In the business world, you get these actuaries and these kind of 4 classed scenarios, and L0ckstep just happens to be the first scenario, right, for this future projection. And what I think is happening is that actually each of the scenarios, and Harrison made a good point about this the other day, each of the scenarios actually has elements of things that are coming into play now. So it's not like, oh, we have to choose one of the 4 scenarios. No, in fact, you could see them like cards in the card deck. Right? Old David Rockefeller is over there, even though he's no longer with us, and he's saying, yes, what's coming? We will have to play this card. Let's play that card. As in Klaus says, no, I'm over here with my card. We will play that card, and then we will play this card. Right? Literally. What is the card? The corporate masters. The corporate masters. Herr Nissen und the Church of Elvis. Der Church of Elvis. Der Church of Elvis. We rule the world with the Church of Elvis. I'm just using silly analogies with the Illuminati card deck, right? And then who's this? Looks like Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney trying to sell you some. Mitt Romney is selling you Illuminati ketchup, Mormon vegetable ketchup. Anyway, I'm just making a joke, but you get the point, which is that the scenarios are not either ors. They're not mutually exclusive. They could also be played at different points because, as you know, right, the first of the scenarios in the white paper is lockstep, which is the COOF type scenario. But that's not the only one. In fact, the next one actually sounds similar to Cyber Polygon, right? Cyber Polygon. And we'll get into that in a moment. I'm going to take you through the first one. And then since this is the Global Elite Book Series, part 2 will be for the subscribers at my site as we go through this deep analysis of the 2010 document, Scenarios for Future of Technology International Development. By the way, I do plan to also print out SPARS, and I plan to also print out the recent Ministry of Defense Transhumanist document. Yes. Key white paper. The white paper is just like, okay, yes, here's everything. Here's everything. Here's all the plans. And yes, I know also, as Lil AIDS, a.k.a. Tristan, has said many times, when are you going to do Changing Images of Man, right? One of the key classic white paper documents. So thank you guys for those super chats. Thank you for supporting the live stream here. If you would hit like and share, and then we'll periodically, as you know, read from the super chats as we get through the document. And the weird thing about white papers is that there's so many of them, right? Alan Watt used to always talk about,
hi folks, this is Alan Watt. You're listening to Cutting Through the Matrix. And the big boys have it all planned. They have so many white papers. You could never read them all.
Which is true. You could never read them all. So that's why there's sort of key ones that pop out that we know are important. And by the way, guys, I hope you have followed me over on The Rock, ROKFIN, because I have gone so deep into so many of these MK Ultra documents. This has really been overlooked. I don't know why. I mean, did you know that PRION, that comes out of MK Ultra? Yes. And do you know where they found it? Papua New Guinea, off the continent of Australia, mate. Off the continent of Australia. Down there with Crocodile Dundee, we found some prions that make you go bloody mad. If you would, yeah. So follow me there too, because we got the MK Ultra exclusives over there on The Rock. And of course, The Rock is one of the best. I don't mean The Rock the actor, I mean The Rock right there. Anyway, so let's get into lockstep now that we have a kind of an idea. Now, as we said, white papers are common in the government class. They're common in business. They can be future scenarios. They can be actuaries. They can be analyses that give either ors in different situations. And L0ckstep begins with explaining that these are planning exercises. So if we know about military strategies, we know about war games, right? War games are ways to get likely scenarios on the basis of reconnaissance, on the basis of what happens in this war game when we do X. Okay, then Team B over their shirts and skins. When the shirts do this, the skins do that. So now we know how to beat the skins, right? Because we got them flashy, we got them flossy shirts on, and we beat them nasty skin boys. So in the same type of scenario, what we're doing with white papers is we're studying to get an edge. And this is a 2010 one, which I remember at the time because I was, I've known all this stuff for a long time. But the funny thing about when this came out at the time and when it was being talked about, although I'll give credit to H-A-L-E-X, because he actually did talk about the lockstep element in this document. It's not actually called lockstep. It's called future scenarios, right? But now everybody just calls it lockstep because that's the one that is most recent. But it says this is a planning exercise. And the planning exercise are really just intended to give an edge to those in the fields of technology and to try to war game future globalization scenarios. So it's what they call a planning exercise. And when people, try to, it's not a scenario that they planned it. It's just a thing where they look at possible scenarios. I mean, that's a really low IQ, normie take, because do you not think that billionaire, zillionaire people plan the future as best they can? You bet they do. And it mentions something that you hear Klaus talking about a lot, which is the stakeholders, philanthropic stakeholders. So this is a document aimed at where is my philanthropic money being allocated, right? As I think everybody with a decent IQ should know, philanthropy is not about, at least most of the time, at this level, it's not about helping people. I want to help people. I want to give me billions of dollars away to help the people. I want to help the people. I love the people so much. Even though I tell all the people I want them to die, I also want to help the people. It's a classic con. Well known. Look up Norman Dodd. Look up Reese Committee. It's a way to launder money, funnel money, hide money, make money tax exempt, influence across the world. And it mentions stakeholders. Interesting. Stakeholder capitalism. We haven't heard about stakeholder capitalism in the mainstream until recently, but it's in the white papers many, many years ago. So this talks about how, look, we're going to have to do all of this because of international development. And he says we are pro-poor. So our philanthropy is pro-poor. And we aim to give a scenario for the next 20 years to help. We just want to help everybody so much. We've got so much money that we want to help everybody. Yes, we also talk about how everyone needs to become ashes in the grave. But that's helping, you see. So the logic here is like, no, we are actually helping. We're helping because you don't need to be here, you see. So a very simple, very open, very clear logic here. And being pro-poor here means if we have less people, there won't be poverty. I'm not joking. It's like, you know what? One way we could get rid of poverty and suffering is to get rid of the people. There we go, right? Yeah. Then there wouldn't be any poverty and any suffering. So, and one thing that I noticed too was the cold corporate artwork. If you notice, the cold corporate artwork is literally the Matrix. Look at the, if you notice the countries, right, in this ripple effect, they're all binary. Whoa. Whoa. Let the spoon bend around. Don't bend the spoon. Bend the reality around the spoon. Whoa. Yeah, so just an interesting point on their beautiful corporate artwork. Of course, some of the obvious things are going to be there, such as climate change. The key element to combat in the future is climate change. And this is going to play into this because, as you know, they are saying that look how everything was so much better in an environmental way in the last year. Now we need climate breaks. Mama Earth need a climate break, dog. She over there hot and sweaty. Big old Mama Earth. She breathing, but she needs a break. Let Mama Earth sweat and take a break, dog. She heaving. She's heaving because too many people, right? Another couple books that they have a recommended reading list, and one of them is, of course, Rand Corporation. Read the World Bank documents. Read about sustainability, they say. And then this was an odd, I've not read this book, never heard of it. I just thought it was an odd title. The New Invisible College, Science for Development. And as I'm sure you guys know, the Invisible College, of course, being the Royal Society, being the early proponents of scientism. And of course, we know the worldview here is predicated on scientism, the idea that science is not merely a tool of understanding and mastering the physical world, but in fact a grand narrative. The scientific method itself is somehow a grand narrative worldview that gives an account, an explanation, and mythology for everything. Literally, that's what the undergirding presupposition and framework here is in this document. And even in white papers, you kind of have to read through the lines, right? I'm not saying that this isn't just flat out, prima facie obvious as to what the goal is here. But before they even get into the first scenario, it just says, look, right away, the first and most important thing is to get the population down. So we always know that's number one. There's no elitist who disagrees with that. It's in every one of their documents. If you go watch the live stream that I did on the 10 Commandments of the Elite, it is one of the first commandments, which was where we summarized, right, the top 10 elements in the writings of the elite, as we had, at that point, I think, gone through about 40 of them. We're getting up to about 50 now with this one. And of course, it's no different. Another thing that we see always present in every one of these documents is the crisis mode, right? Shook. We all shook, dude. Everybody shook. We're in crisis mode. And here at the beginning of this document, they call it disruptive shocks. And they say that when there is high trust society, you can have economic growth, you can have economic exchange of goods, etc. When you have disruptive shocks, what happens is this leads to low trust in society. Okay, so again, this is war gamed, this is studied, they know this. And so they know that certain things that are a shock to the system, albeit areas of finance, logistics, right? Supply lanes, disruptive shocks at key nodes in the ecosystem. I don't mean the environmental ecosystem, I mean the national global ecosystem of all of human activity. Key disruptions in those nodes can lead to disruptive shocks in the system as a whole. And what is the logo of this whole, right? What do we see? It's like a shock wave, right? Originating out of, I guess that's what, Africa, right? I mean, I'm not saying that necessarily means there's an earthquake in Africa. I'm just saying that the idea here is ripple effects through the code, man. We live in the Matrix, man. Oh, yeah, dude. We're living in the Matrix, man. It's all a simulation, dude. Everybody, they're going to clip that now and be like, he was smoking on screen. We caught him, dude. Did you hear him? He was holding it in. Hold it in, dude. Hold it in, dude. We're in the Matrix, man. Oh, dude. Anyway, so in the introduction, we get past all that. We get to the disruptive shocks. So what disruptive shocks shows us is that they are fully aware that these different scenarios provide the ability to have different disruptive shocks. And remember, the disruptive shocks are not bad. I mean, so many low IQ people think that leaders are there to ensure stability, safety, and security. Are you that dumb? Are you serious? You're that stupid? No. Leaders are there to do what their masters tell them. And their masters run a controlled chaos system. Problem, reaction, solution. You see. So disruptive shocks are key to managing global responses. And so this document says we're going to give you 4 scenarios. These are the 4 potential scenarios. And they give some little charts down here with some weird artwork on it. And the first scenario is L0ckstep, which is defined as a world of tighter top-down control. It will be authoritarian leadership, limited innovations, with an eventual growing citizen pushback. So they're already telling you that this scenario is one in which innovation will be stifled due to the economic grinding down. It doesn't say an economic collapse, but it talks about shocks to the system that sort of grind it down. We'll get into that in a minute. And then it says another scenario could be the hack attack. Scenario 2, an economically unstable, shock-prone world in which governments are weakened and criminals thrive. Hackers, dude. Hackers. Hacking. Click, click, click on the keyboard. Hacking into the defense DARPA motherboard. Stealing floppy drives. Stealing pictures of naked fat girls. Storing them away on hard disks. Stashing them in the attic. Hacking them off the defense systems motherboards. Hacking, putting viruses into the mainframe. Jacking in. Code leet speak. AOL. Alta Vista. Hacking. We did an analysis of Hackers, by the way. If you haven't seen Hackers, go watch Hackers. The movie is off the hook. Ridiculous, by the way. So grab your Hot Pockets and your Surge sodas. Do you remember Surge? I want to say Shaquille O'Neal. Like they bought Shaquille O'Neal to be the face of Surge. And Surge lasted for like 1 year and went out of business. What happened? Well, the hackers adopted Surge, and they adopted Hot Pockets, and here we are. Now we're going to have a world run by those people. A world run by Zero Cool from Hackers, Johnny Mnemonic, Neo, which he's Agent Smith there, and then he becomes Neo. It's weird. And he wears the same outfit like that. In Johnny Mnemonic, Keanu wears Agent Smith's outfit. It's weird, but anyway. So this is kind of ridiculous, though. To be honest, I mean, the idea that the hackers are going to run the world. I mean, come on, dude. So this scenario has not been the norm. However, remember, they can throw down like a pog, a bow, like a whammy, a slammer, or whatever the pogs are called. I don't even know the words for pogs, but Bill Gates can throw down a pog of Hack Attack. Gill Bates. I got the killer pog. I got the greatest pog. I'm going to throw down a slammer. It's going to be a hack attack. Literally could be. I mean, that's essentially, I mean, it sounds like Cyber Polygon. Okay, so we're going to say hack attacks. And then it says, clever together, a world in which highly coordinated and successful strategies emerge for addressing both urgent and entrenched worldwide issues. So this is like the Kumbaya world. We're gonna have like they're gonna actually have social justice utopia world. So I don't know about all that. And it's got everybody like holding their hands together, propping up a globe, which is ridiculous. And then the other worldview scenario is called Smart Scramble, an economically depressed world, big economic collapse, in which individuals and communities fragment and just become localized. And then we have makeshift solutions to growing new sets of problems. So, goes on to say that the scenario narratives are intended to explain the world from the time of 2010 to 25 and then 2025 to 2030. So basically covering 20-year period all the way up to 2030. We know, of course, 2030 is a key time period in these plans. We have Agenda 2030 and so forth. We know when we did Brief History of the Future by Jacques Attali, he makes 2030 and 2050, right? Key years here. Please do a stream with Jordan Maxwell. If you don't know, I have seen actual pterodactyls
flying over Los Angeles. Actual pterodactyls flying over Los Angeles.
Somebody said do it, Jordan Maxwell stream. How about you just get a Jordan Maxwell impersonation? Is that good enough? So scenarios up to 2030. And then it says this is a key piece of the architecture in these scenarios will be the role of philanthropy and NGOs. So NGOs are the key to global governance. Of course they are. Now, what is probably the most amazing and most telling for this document is the first 2 pages of L0ckstep. So we get into scenario 1. It is called L0ckstep. There it is. You can see. Yes, it's legit. I'm not making it up. And where does this originate from? Oh, there you go. A little place. A little place over there in our hearts. You see that? Clock down. We got the city on lockdown. And then supply chains. Well, it seems like they know exactly what happened when a CHINA lab sees a... I mean, this is the movie anyway. Remember that movie with Gwyneth Paltrow? Remember that movie? Contagion? And then the next page says, so what we should expect is when this occurs, global MANDATE, there will be the masking of everyone in the world. There will be mandatory stay-in-place orders. There will be mandatory temperature checks everywhere. Everyone will be told that for your safety, it will be the case. And then it says some interesting things that are not yet out, but are right. A biometric, IDENTIFICATION, and that's in other words the KEW code, right? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. And then another element, too, that was surprising reading through this one that I didn't expect was, we will notice after the city on lockdown, we got your city on lockdown, then how much the environment improved. And since the environment improved, certain countries will begin the great process of banning cars. Yes, banning cars. They use India as an example. That hasn't happened, although India did implement a lot of things last year. It says India realized the advantage of not having cars running, and so they banned all carbon emission producing cars, right, which is a gigantic scam, right? And then it says, so much authoritarian top-down control on the part of the government leaders led everyone to be fed up. And now there was a call for a new nationalism and nationalist terrorists, if you know what I mean, to use the George Bush speaker, terrorists. This new nationalism had people clamoring for a savior and a solution. And the savior and the solution came in the form of, yes, a new system. So there you go. Exactly what this book is about. You see, the managed crisis shows you that the existing order doesn't work, and then you clamor and call for the new order. But what's ironic is that the people that run the system, they know this full well. They know there's corruption in national, local governments. In fact, that's why they promote corrupt people. They want there to be corruption. not just to control those people, but so that people's faith in the existing systems and structures breaks down so that they clamor and yell for a new system. It's really basic psychology. And they know that this is how humans work. Humans just react. They don't think through situations. They don't know what white papers are. They don't know that society is highly planned and not chaos, chance, and organic nonsense, right? Normies believe that SHIT just happens, right? It's just happening, right? There's no white papers. There's no global steering committees, even though they're all public and they make all their documents public. And normies just can't see this and can't believe this because they're under delusion. And so when we read these scenarios that actually break down literally the events that occur, normies say that it doesn't exist. I refuse to accept that it doesn't exist. Even though, what do you mean it doesn't? It's right here. No, it doesn't exist. Right? So they try to gaslight you because they're actually gaslighting themselves because they don't want to accept what is right here in front of their face. So I mean, it's almost like those war games, like Vigilant, Guardian, right? We had no knowledge. We had no idea that there would ever be such a kind of an attack like this on this day, even though there's countless war games about it, right? Just total lies. Remember Condoleezza Rice? Just lying, right? We had no idea. You were running war games that day, dude. What are you talking about? You had no idea, right? In the same way, I have no idea. We had no idea that the supply chain would suffer under such pressure and shocks with a CUFID, with the CUF. Yeah, right. I mean, you wrote whole papers talking about how it happens. And so a key point that everybody seems to have missed that immediately struck me, again, as I read this, was national governments, they say, will happily fall by 2025, 2026. So then the new system can be set up by 2030. And then 2030 to 2050 is the key 2 decades where that system is fully in place. There you go. I mean, what can you say to this? Let's look at a few more points here because it gets even crazier. So that the headlines in... So L0ckstep gives this list of future news headlines as examples. And what's funny is that one of them is actually about keeping your distance from people. SOCIAL, distance. Another article says that as a result of CUF, they don't call it CUF, but you know, that's what I'm talking about. Bots will have to be rolled out. Did you see Burmes's video the other day? Burmes just did a video about AI bots being there to comfort you at your deathbed. I mean, what? Yeah, because you can't have people around you, right? Because of CUF. I mean, it really is difficult to. I was talking to Wrecking Ball the other day, and he said, this is an IQ test. I said, yeah, I've been saying this for a long time. And I think there was even a clip years ago, maybe 10 years ago, where Gill was basically saying something like that. I don't remember exactly how it was phrased, but he was hinting like, well, if you listen to what I say, if you can't figure it out for yourself, you deserve what you get, basically, right? And it was phrased something like that, and everybody was like, I remember Paul Joseph Watson wrote an article about it. It was like, he was talking about it like, this is an IQ test, okay? If you can't figure this out, you're going to get what you deserve. Now, I'm not saying that's just. I'm just saying that's what was said. As we know, too, from the history of the transition in influence, soft power, NGOs, soft power, right? We've done a lot of talks on this. There's a section here that talks about soft power, and it says the future of philanthropy is obviously in this soft power role to promote universal rights and freedoms. Now, nobody ever tells us what the universal rights and freedoms are. Oh, yes. We do know what they are. The universal rights and freedoms that the troops go and die for is Subway, it's McDonald's, it's Pepsi, it's everything that you're seeing right now. So that's what actually the freedoms mean. And this goes back to the four freedoms, right? We covered that in the Quigley talks. We covered that in the Wim Hof talks. And then it goes on to say, well, but if L0ckstep is what's rolled out, what will be the day-to-day technology experience in L0ckstep? And it says there will be, at all airports and travel facilities, facial and emotional reading technology to determine if you're an antisocial person, if you're just a butthole, you might get in trouble. If you're just a jerk, just a old regular old standard issue D-bag, you might get in trouble. You might get arrested because there will be antisocial scanning behavior material at airports and public spaces. After the COOF, you won't get food delivered to you the normal way, and so there has to be a transition. This is another element that a lot of people haven't talked about. Transition in the supply chain. Oh, like maybe where everything comes from Amazon. Right? Everything, you have to get everything at Walmart and Amazon, right? That's kind of what it sounds like. The control of the exchange of goods. Or perhaps it's even talking about, did you see Songbird? That ridiculous Michael Bay movie? And at the beginning, this dude who's immune to COOF is a delivery boy. And he pulls up to Demi Moore's house and he puts her pizza or whatever she's getting in a vacuum sealed box in the house. It's so ridiculous. It's like he puts this pizza in there and it's right, and then she has to come and like vacuum right out the air to get her pizza from a little, because you can't talk to anybody. You can't go outside. You can't go outside because there's COOFID on everything. I mean, dude, people will believe anything, right? Like COOFID is just under rocks and it's sitting on the surfaces of everything. Because in Songbird, it's like a mutation, right? It's COOFID number 25 or something ridiculous, right? Go watch the trailer for Songbird if you haven't seen it. But I'm watching that and I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, what the heck? And it starts out with like, we couldn't go outside. No one can go outside because COOFID is everywhere. It's just like 12 Monkeys. Because if you remember in 12 Monkeys, I think it's been a while since I think me and Tristan and Hesher watched 12 Monkeys. Isn't it like, it's not a real thing, right? Like you can go outside, but everybody believes that if you breathe air, you're gonna die, dude. And then doesn't Bruce Willis eventually discover that no, that's just a bunch of BS? It's something like that. I don't know. But there's a bunch of dystopia movies like this, right? Where the trapped society is told that you can't go to the above ground because it's all radiation. Logan's Run's that way, right? You can't leave the smart city. If you go outside the smart city, the radiation will destroy you. All and it's all just a bunch of baloney. And then the irony of the dystopian movies is that the baloney has been propagated so long that it doesn't even matter if it's not true anymore because everybody believes it. And because everybody was told that from their earliest days, right? And in Logan's Run, It's an AI bot that was programmed centuries ago that runs the city. And then Logan's like, wait a minute, this is a bunch of bullshit, dude. Like all of this whole society is constructed on lies. And remember, they have that euthanasia ritual where you have to float up into that big ass flower or whatever. And they were told this because the AI was programmed centuries ago to control the population. So you have to die at age, 23 or whatever it is. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they're talking about here. By the way, this says that business meetings and everything would be done on Zoom and Skype. Interesting. They knew that then. There will be CHIPS. DARPA CHIPS that will be in bloodstreams. What did we just see? We just see a month ago. CBS, ABC, Yahoo. CHIPS in the bloodstream, nanotech to detect the diseases. Then it goes on to say they project that the internet will fracture. I don't know what they mean by that, but they say, China will have its own internet, and then the U.S. will have its own internet, blah, 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 which I guess is kind of true. But then it concludes under L0ckstep. It says this was ultimately a means by which all of society could be reorganized. And one of the things that would be crucial to the reorganization would be the introduction of bots. So the COOF provides the justification for removing the human to implement bots. And this is an element that everybody else seems to have forgotten. Not everybody, but most people, when they talk about what's going on, they don't talk about bots. Why? Because they're thinking, it's just an attack on our psyche. It's just to break us down. It's just to alienate. Well, there's an element to that in terms of the psychological warfare. It's not just to break people down. It's literally, according to this, to acclimate everyone to bots and automated services taking over all of these jobs that people used to do. Delivery services, checkout people, care workers. I'm not joking. That's why Burmis just did that video on robot care home workers, caretakers. Oh, you see, we can't have people, nurses. We just have a robot, you see. So now you get a iRobot help agent or whatever, right? A little bitch bot that's going to bitch you around. You think, it's going to be so great, right? It's going to be like Johnny 5. Ooh, Johnny 5. No, Johnny 5 is going to be up in your shit, dude. He's going to be up in your grill telling you what to do. Johnny 5 is going to be your master. He's going to be robot. He's going to take that little robot hand and smack that butt. Pow, pow, pow. He's going to tell you what to do. Ooh, Johnny 5 alive. Johnny 5, your master. Do what I say. Psh, 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 psh. Johnny 5 going to train that ass. You're going to do what he says. You're going to listen to bitch bot, baby. He's going to bitch you around. Literally, that's what it says. The document literally says Johnny 5 will be in every household. He will be a bitch bot. And he will make you his bitch. No, it doesn't say that. I'm just joking. Okay, so the next scenario is also part of what's coming into play. So I'm not saying, they're doing it in this order. So now that L0ckstep happened, they're going to do clever together, right? How fake and gray is that? But there's elements in each one of these that is coming into play. So now this one is about climate change. And the idea here is, when the world comes together to combat climate change, we can have a much better world. And New York is going to flood from climate change. Right? So all these elitists like buy their gigantic mansions on the coast because people buy into this stupid scam thinking that Florida and New York and LA are going to be underwater because of climate change. Like, they literally think that Antarctica is a big ice cube, and when the Earth heats up, it melts like in a glass, right? So Earth is a big like pool with ice cubes in it. That's how these people think. They don't realize that they freeze and melt every year, but whatever. They don't believe that polar bears can swim. All companies will have carbon officers. Everything, Internet of Things, will be surveilled. The way to keep up and track everyone's carbon in this is like total nightmare scenario, will be through the United Nations having a special office through all the corporations and their climate officers. So you have a CEO, and then you also have, every company has not just a CEO, but a climate CEO. I'm not joking. And that this will be coordinated through the UN and NGOs. So non-elected, totally private corporate governance through the UN, tracking everybody's carbon, Plandopolis. Okay. I mean, it's so dystopic. It's kind of funny. It's almost like it's like satire, dude. And they talk about a key player in the NGO power structure will be the large pharmaceutical companies. Oh, isn't that sweet? And they will be involved in more effective versions of these. So as you can see, we seem to also be having a clever together scenario as well as L0ckstep. The governing ideology of clever together will be the green agenda. So green, of course. And everyone through private corporate governance and NGOs agrees to solve the world's climate carbon problems. This is through a total technocracy and converting the world to solar energy. I remember maybe the technology has improved, but when I was a kid and I lived out in California, I remember I go over to play Nintendo at my friend's house, and everybody had solar panels. Dude, everybody's house was hot as heck, dude. Them solar panels didn't do shit, right? The solar panel is supposed to be storing up energy to heat, or to move the air conditioner, and it's just basically heating up the house. It's like, this is not making the air conditioner run. Your house is hot as hell, dude. So yeah, but it's for the earth. It's for the earth. Mama Earth's over heaving. She's heaving. Mama Earth is a ham planet that's over there heaving because of you heathens. You heathens are making Mama Gaia heave. So key to the green agenda will be control of all energy. Now, we've talked about that a lot, right? So energy is key, controlling all energy, because humans are energy. Humans are energy producing little creatures, batteries, and if we can figure out how to control them and get those numbers down. Oh, we got to get the numbers down to right about 0. Then it says we can have a smart world, a world that's based around supposed IQ, which a smart world just means a world run by these people. That's all they mean by that. And they said then we'll have the utopian smart cities. Not kidding. So the technology and clever together is a carbon-based, totally controlled world with smart cities. And when you live in the smart city, everything will be rationed. Oh. Well, how do they know what to ration? On the basis of total surveillance, you see. So you live in your pod. Your pod will be allocated a certain bit of electricity, a certain bit of water, and a bit of transportation as you need transportation. You see, this is what we covered in the Millennium text written by Wallace Harmon. his essay on essential and non-essential workers that he put out back in 1980. That's what this is talking about. So you're not gonna go and have fun. You're gonna live in your pod, go into your prawn hub, right? Your VR prawn, and eat bugs. That's it. That's what you do. And whatever money you make in the, virtual prawn world doing whatever you do, that will pay your pod rent, right? Because your pod rent's going to be, 500 credits, right? So everything is rationed. Oh, doesn't that sound great? And all these socialist dum-dums, they actually think that that this is what they're going to get out of this. Yes, I will be free to sleep with whoever I want to in pod bay number 1. It'll be a Coomer's paradise, and I'll have everything given to me. But you see, this comes with attachments. You see, you have to also sign on to monthly stabs. Oh, we're gonna make it monthly. Oh, you're gonna be it every month. You're gonna get a stab, and you're gonna be eating bugs. No more meat, and you won't get showers and water and food regularly. It will be on the basis of your behavior. Social, credit. And shout out to Lil AIDS. If beautiful Tristana is out there, I thought of you when I saw this section, Tristana. Open the pod bay door, Tristan, because guess what? In your apartment complex, what would you name it? Coom Raider, right? You're going to be living in a giant apartment complex. Your floor could be called Coom Raider. You get special lab meat. This is a prize that your floor on Coom Towers in the compartments won. You guys won the new special lab meat. So even though you don't get to eat steak, you will get first dibs at the World Meat Science Lab's fake meat. I'm not joking. There's a whole thing about fake meat. Veganism. No one eats meat in this future, but through mystical science labs and science juices, the science juices that you always see bubbling in the background of science videos in the beakers, they produced fake meat, and fake meat will come out of the corporations. I'm not joking. That's what they say, to feed the world. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Soylent Green is made from people. From my cold dead hands, right? We just covered Soylent Green. Literally what's on this page of this document is what's in Soylent Green. Okay. So I'm going to touch on the beginning of the third of the 4 scenarios. And then we will take the super chats and we'll call this stream to a close. Because actually this document is not super long. It's about, 50, 60 pages. Not that long. And there's some interesting things in this one, because the next one seems to be Cyber Polygon. And maybe in part 2, we'll also do an analysis of Cyber Polygon from our friends at the World Economic Forum, Klaus and his crew. Soylent Green is made from people. I do a pretty good Charlton Heston, I think. Mashallah. From my cold dead hands. So we should cover all these, right? We got L0ckstep, Kladex, Event 201, Spars, der Spars Dokumentum, and then there's one more. L0ckstep, Kladex, Spars, Event 201. And there one more. There's 5, isn't there? Crimson Contagion. And then we should add as an addendum Cyber Polygon. You think my Charlton Heston sounds like Sean Connery? How dare you? Sean Connery talks like this. This is your Sean Connery. From my cold dead hands. You damn dirty ape. Soylent Green is made from Gill baits. How's that? So third scenario, hack attack. Hackers, Zero Cool, Neo, Johnny Mnemonic. Whoa. Bill S. Preston Esquire. This says that the new era will see the world of the hackers, right? So all of those dumbass 90s movies that never came to fruition might come to fruition now. The world of the hackers. Cyber Polygon. And it says that this new world of everything dominated by tech will be subject to criminal hackers. They're everywhere. Hackers just doing chaos, dude. Hacking there's teams and teams and teams. Prodigy blasting everywhere. Techno blasting everywhere. Surge Cola makes a comeback. Hot Pockets, multi-billion dollar company again, because hackers are going wild, dude. Everywhere. Everybody's hacking. And it says that all of this hacking will lead to economic collapse. That's some good ass coordinated hacking, isn't it? By the way, we're actually kind of seeing this, like the ransomware. Ooh, yes. Right here. And well, here's a cute little addendum. Look what Hack Attack predicted. The eventual. Look at that. Ooh. Interesting. So we'll get into the rest of Hack Attack, and then the final scenario: Smart Scramble. Smart Scramble the eggs. I don't know what he's gonna say because I didn't finish Smart Scramble yet. So. We'll finish Hack Attack and we'll do a Smart Scramble in the part 2. If you want to subscribe to Jay's analysis, you can at the links in the show description, and you get access to all of this. I've already lost count. This is like the 50th writing of the Elite that we've covered. 50. People are like, there's no such thing as what you're talking about, dude. I just read in the last three or 4 years 50 books of the Elite. What have you read? Nothing. I'll read the news. Yeah, so you don't know anything. The next time somebody challenges me, I want them to list. I'm not even going to debate. I might not even talk or interact with, right, the next opponent or challenger if they've not read 50 Elite books like I have. When you've read those 50, then you can come challenge me and talk to me. Otherwise, you don't know what you're talking about. It's about 50 by now. Not exactly 50, but... And we've still got some of the key ones we haven't done yet. So, anyway, that's L0ckstep. There you go. Key stuff. Very predictive. Not as precise as SPARS, right? SPARS is more precise. But there is some key stuff there in L0ckstep that is not in other things. So definitely worth looking to. And the other scenarios, again, are not mutually exclusive to L0ckstep. The other scenarios also appear to be other game plans, war games, that can be cards that can be played, so to speak. All right, let's see. We got... looks like somebody left a super chat a while back. Anonymous, $5. Recently, I refuted someone's nihilistic worldview, and at the end of the conversation, I I fear I committed a victory lap. In other words, not closing out the debate in a compelling and sincere manner, and now I feel ashamed. How do you learn to be humble in closing debates? Well, so there's two types of debates. There are formal debates and there are informal debates. Okay, so as everybody knows, the informal sphere of debates has been, in the last 5 years, blood sports, right? Blood sports kind of went away. And that was more of like just a free-for-all kind of, back and forth. And there's some entertaining, fun things that go on in blood sports. And there, you can also have an informal conversation, which can be called a debate. But most of the time, that wouldn't be a problem, Anonymous, because in a formal debate, you have to adhere to the rules. So there's pros and cons to formal and informal debates. But I would say that I'm not always humble in debates. I think everybody knows that. I would say I do better in formal debates because I know the rules of debate very well. In informal debates, I have a tendency to be less rule-bound and less humble. So I get pretty snippety and pretty sarcastic and pretty, comedic, I guess you'd say. And I think everybody's seen those informal discussions. So one way to find it easy, or to sort of put rules upon yourself in a debate setting, is in a formal debate. And if you're in a formal debate, you're stuck to the time limits and you have the moderator. So if you start getting out of hand, if you got a good moderator, he's going to call you back, rein you back in if you're going crazy. But so I would say if in the future you have a debate with this kind of person set up, if you can, maybe make it a little more formal, and that will help you in setting rules for how you go about it. But no, it's. I think everybody who begins to debate, you realize you learn that no, it's not actually easy to deal with really obtuse, arrogant, and or foolish and stupid people. You get very annoyed, and it's not easy to always be patient and calm with these kinds of people. So don't beat yourself up over it. Just try in the next discussion to be a little more patient. And really, patience is one of the virtues. It's something that comes over time. So you're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get impatient with people. It's just part of it. Byzantine Bigo, $10 for the Coom coin. Yeah, that's right. When you live in your pod, right, in your compartments, you will be earning and a living from your Coom coin. So yeah. Rolf Stakes, $5. When will you start going by your baptized name so I can call you Dan? It's just too confusing. It's not that I'm trying to be, intentionally deceptive or, but people don't know who Daniel is, right? So if I use the baptismal name, which you use amongst Orthodox people, right? It's not typically the name that you're using with everybody in the world because nobody knows who that is. So I'm a public figure, so it is what it is. Byzantine Bigo, $5. Dance Monkey. How's that? I'm your dancing monkey. You pay me $5-10. I dance for you. David, $10. Are there plans for Pop Reduct as a reaction to something unforeseen? No. This has been plans for 2 centuries, right? Going back to Malthus, right? It goes back to Plato. Controlling the population is an ancient Greek idea, and it goes back even before that, I'm sure, to empires, Egyptian, right? Ancient Aryan empires. I'm sure that every imperial structure attempted to control population. And remember that controlling a population is not just about numbers, it's also about controlling what's going on in here. So it's a total system, right? And really what this is about, right, is as Klaus says, is the rewriting of the biosphere. That's what people can't figure out. That's just so beyond what the average person even knows or can think about that, really with most people, you can't even bring it up. There's not even any point. right? I mean, I did a whole essay, like 10 years ago? Let's see. The synthetic rewrite. Remember that? I'll put it in the chat for you guys. And I realized when I wrote this, it wasn't written in 2020. It was written years and years ago. I reposted it on the blog in 2020. So if you see the date, that's why it says 2020. And longtime readers will remember this, right? We wrote this essay 10 years ago talking about this stuff. And people said that was crazy, right? Like even 10 years ago. That's insane, right? You're talking about, well, Klaus just said in a talk recently that he will enter our bodies, not him, but the nanotech. We will put the nanotech, there will be a rewrite of the body. You will become the synthetic organism, not the biological organism. There will be the synthetic. And literally in Babylon, Berlin, right, last night, do you remember the doctor, the mind control doctor in Babylon, Berlin? What does he say in his radio broadcast? Right? He says this. It sounds like Klaus Schwab. There will be the rewrite of the human. There will no longer be the pain. There will no longer be the pleasure. There will be the robot. There will be the android man. The android man will solve the problem of man himself. Literally, that was in last night's episode that I watched, Babylon, Berlin. And it's literally what Klaus says in his talks. So, Sigma driver, $20. The real Bitcoin is Bitcoin SV, and it alters their plans for the Fourth Industrial Revolution by providing humans with a way to fight back against banking elite. They just made the first phone call on Bitcoin. Please interview Kurt Wuckert Jr. Well, thank you for that, Sigma. Again, I read a couple articles on this, but I don't know enough to say confidently what's going on there, and I'm not familiar with Kurt Wuckert. I will look into that. Thank you. David, $1. Movie recommendation, Aeon Flux. We did a brief analysis. I did a long time ago analysis of Aeon Flux because that's actually about the alteration of the genome. And yes, the Charlize Theron movie is not that great, but I do have an old analysis of it. I think it's at the new website. And I think if we didn't do a video, if it wasn't in one of our movie streams, then it was on an old Boiler Room, maybe. I don't know. But I have talked about Aeon Flux, so thank you for that. Green Waves, $5. Johnny Mnemonic is Delluminati. Yeah, if you remember, there's that sequence where it's in both Hackers and in Johnny Mnemonic, it's the Illuminati, right? It comes up in both, right? And I think Johnny Mnemonic, it's on the computer screen when he's being downloaded. You see the all-seeing eye. And then in Hackers, it's literally called Illuminati, which is interesting. JMel 30. I hear that every scenario plans for uprisings. Yeah, to some degree. I'm assuming you're meaning the scenarios in this. Are these uprisings no big deal? Well, the uprisings are a big deal in the first one because they lead to the justification for global governance. But uprisings are not made of as a big deal in number 2. And then for 3 and 4, you'll have to look at the part 2. So thank you for that, JML. I'm sure you are a subscriber. So Block Party Vintage, $3. Do the impression of the boomer from New York that you did in the Us movie. This is the boomer from the Masonic Lodge down the road. And I was just got out of the movie theater, and my scooter actually broke down. And I had to power my scooter with a little bit of the extra Pepsi that I had from the movie theater. And believe it or not, my scooter actually runs better on a Pepsi, or perhaps a kind of a combination of Pepsi and Gatorade. So if you're looking for a way to power the scooters to get them up to about 20, 30 miles per hour, go ahead and throw a little bit of the movie theater butter, a little bit of Pepsi, and a little bit of Gatorade into that tank, and then you'll be off to a flashy start. Right? How's that? there's the New York Boomer. Bloodlines of the Kuminati, right? All right, that's L0ckstep. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as I said, in part 2, we'll do the other 2 scenarios. We'll do Cyber Polygon, and that will be a good installment of the Elite book series. Meanwhile, in the meantime, I would encourage everyone to get healthy via Mitt Romney Mormon Ketchup. And also the Church of Elvis. Right? Klaus is going to send us the Church of Elvis. And then everybody will be under their corporate masters, which is the goal. Yes. And the world will celebrate in solidarity via being run by a group of eco-gorillas, literally, who are the corporate masters, who train you every day through Madison Avenue to Coom Soom, and also through their minions, who will, I'm sure, provocateur things, and some of their other friends, these guys. And then eventually, though, the good news is that we will discover this underneath the Pentagon, where they took it from Indiana Jones Jr. And we'll find out that behind the whole system all along was none other than Nessie. So Nessie was actually the head of the Illuminati. All right, everybody have a good night. I will talk to you soon.